Well, hello, free people of the Rocky Mountain region. This is Brandon from Free State, Colorado, and I hope you're doing well. The city of Denver and their crazy priorities. It's just, you can't make this stuff up, folks. Check this out. Eat less meat. Denver promotes plants-based diet on a $3 million marketing campaign on climate goals. That's right. This is where the city of Denver thinks our tax money should be going, is towards this marketing about eating less meat. So this article is from the Denver Gazette, July 25th, 2025. I got to say, the Denver Gazette does a great job of pushing back on the mayor, the governor, and a lot of these kind of more left wing type of politicians and campaigns. So, July 26, 2025, here's one of the ads that they're running out there. I'm just one person really adds up when you remember there are 716,577 of us. So they have these little ads on pedicabs across the city, some billboards that just say, do more, do less, do something. Absolutely ridiculous. But of course, the Denver Gazette did a good job here of really highlighting some of the most controversial or ridiculous statements, such as eat less meat, eat more plant-based meals, vote for climate conscious leaders. That's right, folks. Your tax money is going towards telling people how to vote. So, $3 million coming from the Office of Climate Action, Sustainability, and Resiliency. Now, remember here, this is a state where our governor has been totally against red meat in general and having his meat out day to really try and push this plant-based food on people. Even though, as the Gazette points out here, Colorado's agricultural industry is the state's second largest economic driver, accounting for more than $47 billion in activity, employing more than 195,000 people. The export of Colorado cattle as of 2024 generated nearly $4.5 billion, making Colorado one of the top 10 producers in the nation. So, I mean, pretty ridiculous. The fact that, we have the Denver Stock Show. We're an agriculture state outside of the Denver metro area. And we have our capital city, the city of Denver, spending money trying to tell Coloradans not to eat Colorado beef and vote for climate conscious leaders. Now, of course, you may remember that Denver is facing a massive budget gap here. It's going to start laying off people in the city. So, this article is from July 29th, 2025, from Fox 31 KDVR. Denver facing over $200 million budget gap, will begin layoffs on August 18th. So there they go, folks. They're laying people off because they can't make up that money, but $3 million of it is being spent on just advertising, telling people not to eat meat. Here's some more pictures of these ads. I think it's pretty ridiculous here. I mean, who's going to be convinced by seeing this to do something? But here's some examples. When you think about it, trees work harder to reverse climate change than most politicians. Let's not fail the Darwin test. I mean, who came up with this stuff? Absolutely, totally ridiculous. Mars sounds kind of May, to be honest. So there you go, folks. 300 days of free energy, just like your mood. Heat pumps run hot and cold. Wow, absolutely ridiculous. There's only a couple news organizations that have actually covered this. We talked about the Gazette, and then Denverite, which does some interesting reporting there, has an article here from July 25th, 2025. Denver's $3 million ad campaign is a controversial idea. You can do something about climate change. Well, I would say it is controversial, not because of why Denverite would say so, but because of the Denver Gazette kind of pointing it out. So I was very curious about this, right? Curious about this whole situation and how they're setting it up. So Denver voters, unfortunately, back in 2020, overwhelmingly passed ballot initiative 2A, raising the local sales and use tax by 0.25%. So another reason not to shop in Denver, because you're just basically funding this propaganda campaign, this climate protection fund, $40 million every year to take urgent action to mitigate the causes of climate change. I mean, really, you probably know that this isn't going to actually amount to anything except taking more money out of the people's wallets of Denver. But there you go, folks. That's the Climate Protection Fund. And they're part of this whole Denver Climate Project. They're the ones running these ads, of course, and pretty ridiculous stuff. Doom and gloom. The climate crisis is here. The good news, we can all do something about it. But this is the most interesting part, I think, is we saw that Denver Gazette article really talking about some of these controversial statements, and the city of Denver actually backed down. They actually deleted those off their website. Check this out here. So they have this do more, do less, do something little parts on their website here. These are part of their ads they're running. So on the do less portion here, this is the current website, because I saw that Denver Gazette article and I wanted to look it up and say, are they really telling people not to eat meat? This is kind of interesting. So you can see at home, they have this whole list, using less hot water, get rid of your lawn, waste less food, whatever, wash laundry. So there's nothing about meat on the current website. So I used Internet Archive, web.archive.org, the Wayback Machine, the Internet Archive, going back to July 7th, so just a couple weeks ago. Uh, and they actually had eat less meat on there. There it is right there. You can see use fewer single-use items and lose the lawn and waste less food. They had to eat less meat. And then that article came out. And then there was some pressure on the city, and they actually deleted it. So I think that is really interesting, folks. Reporters, journalists, there's a role that people can play in society to put pressure back on these politicians to change the messaging and to call them out. But think about it. If you didn't have that Denver Gazette article, would the city of Denver make any changes? Probably not. But public feedback does work. Public outcry does work. So they took off the meat part. They actually even took off the plant-based meal part too. Those are two of the things I could find in there. Here's do more from back then on July 7th, a couple weeks ago, where they said eat more plant-based meals, and they did actually delete that off the website. So kind of interesting there to see that happen. Just wanted to point that out to people that the city of Denver is backing down. Not there on the current website, but you go here on the old website here before it got changed over, and I think it's right here where they say eat more plant-based meals right at the top here, and then you can see on the current one that that is just totally gone. So kind of interesting stuff there. Eat more plant-based meals, and then right below it they had support local farmers and shop at your farmers markets, but they got rid of that. Unfortunately, they did leave the part there about do something, vote for more climate conscious politicians. I think that's kind of a stretch, kind of ridiculous that they're using Colorado taxpayer money, Denver taxpayer money to say that you need to vote for climate conscious leaders. That's one they should definitely be deleting there. But just wanted to point that out. I thought it was pretty interesting to see the city of Denver kind of back down, looking at where this money is going, who's getting paid off of this. I think is always very interesting as well. If you didn't know, the Denver's check register is available online, and you can get in there and search and see where all this money is going. But nonetheless, folks, just thought that was interesting. Wanted to share that with you. Thought it was kind of funny that the city of Denver kind of got their hands slapped for telling people not to eat Colorado beef, and they end up deleting it off their website. So until next time, we'll talk to you.